Hey, what's up, guys? I'm back with another video. This time, I'm going to talk about my favorite resource farming Warframe, and that is Khora. Khora is my favorite. There are others that you can use to farm resources. You know, you have uh, Khora, obviously, my favorite. She does have a prime, but I think all of these do actually. So, Nekros is probably the one most people like to see. So if you're just looking to be helpful to a team, Nekros is one that's good to get. Um, Khora, one that's good to get, and then Hydroid. Now, Hydroid and Khora both require a specific mod to actually be a resource farming Warframe. So if we look at Hydroid, he has Tempest Barrage. He targets an area, calls down a barrage of liquid fury. Charge this attack to increase the lethality of the onslaught. Tidal Surge, crash through enemies in a ferocious wall of water. I would say you probably would helmet that to something better. Undertow, become a water trap and drown unsuspecting enemies. It has its uses. Tentacle Swarm, this is your main thing if you're trying to farm resources. This is the thing that gets a specific mod to make it possible to farm resources with him. Tap to spawn watery tentacles from all nearby surfaces to wreak havoc. Charge to increase the number of tentacles and spawn area. Use while in Undertow to have the tentacles emerge from the pool. So, Undertow and Tentacle Swarm kind of go hand in hand. Now, Hydroid is, I would say, probably the worst of the resource farmers, but still good, still valuable. If you like Hydroid, use him. It's really that simple. Um, he has a pilfering mod. I don't know the exact name, but I can look real quick. Let's actually go take a look. So he has what's called a pilfering mod. This makes it to where you can actually get resources with his ability. It augments the ability to make that happen. So if I go to Hydroid, click there, equip him just for a moment, upgrade. I should have it, but I might not. I might not actually have it. Let me see. Huh. That's really weird. I actually don't have it. I thought I did. Okay, well, there's a pilfering mod. Let me see if I can kind of just find it in the mod section, maybe, or you know what, could be with rep. So in rep, you'll find that a lot of mods tend to be in certain reps. So if we type in Hydroid, it's not with Arbiters of Hexus, um, Cephalon Suda, yeah, Cephalon Suda has it somewhere. Let's see. Tidal Surge, reduce Tidal Surge energy cost, no. Okay, Pilfering Swarm, that is what it's called. Tentacle Swarm augment, enemies held by tentacles have a 100% chance at additional drops. It's solid. I mean, if you're going to run Hydroid, you should be running Pilfering Swarm. There is absolutely no reason not to unless you just don't have it and you like Hydroid for, you know, his abilities. So, Pilfering Swarm is basically a requirement if you're running Hydroid. Again, if you don't quite have it, when you get it, put it on as quickly as you can because it will improve your resource gathering immensely. Next, we'll take a look at Nekros real quick. He doesn't actually require a pilfering mod. One of his abilities actually just does it. So first we have Soul Punch. A blow so powerful it turns the enemy's very soul into a deadly projectile, damaging all in its path. Enemies that survive the blow are marked for harvest and become one of Nekros' shadows of the dead. If killed while marked... Oh, shadows of the dead if killed while marked. That's how that should have been read. Yep. Mind Control. That is actually a helmet ability. That is what I put on. I was just testing some things out. I don't think it's actually all that good. Um, but I haven't used my Nekros in a while, so maybe it is. I don't know. I think I was trying to make a Shadows of the Dead build. The Shadows of the Dead is fun. It is okay, but the main reason you're gonna use Nekros is for Desecrate. Forces fallen enemies around you to drop additional loot. The extra loot is 54%. It's the main reason you use Nekros. And there is a mod you can put on him. You don't need to, but I do suggest putting it on him if you're going to use him. And I'll show you in just a minute. Shadows of the Dead summon shadow versions of vanquished enemies to fight alongside you for a short period. It's fun. I don't know if I would use, Nekros for this rather than Desecrate. Desecrate is the main reason to use Nekros. It's what people look for when they see a Nekros. If a Nekros is not desecrating, people consider them not doing their job. But again, the game is like how you play is up to you. I don't really care what other people want you to do. You play how you want to play. Just enjoy the game how you want to enjoy the game. I mean, it really doesn't matter to the point that, people should be yelling at you, but people will. Be prepared if you're not doing a Desecrate build to be yelled at if you're playing Nekros. And then last, we'll go ahead and look at Khora. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to show you the mod. So for Nekros, the Desecrate augment is called Despoil. No longer consumes energy, but consumes 10 health per corpse instead. Now, this is really good if you can keep up with the loss of health. It's not that hard. The build that I'm using actually does keep up with it pretty well. You're getting more health, kind of regenerate with equilibrium. You're gonna also regenerate with Arcane Guardian. Or not Guardian, sorry. If you were smart. I am not, apparently. You can use Arcane Grace on health damage, 9% chance for plus 6% health regen a second for 9 seconds. It's worth using it on him. So keep that in mind. When you're building Nekros, Despoil is good. Pair it up with Arcane Grace and Equilibrium, and maybe even Physique just for that extra boost of health. You don't need to use all that. That is up to you. But I suggest using, all of that, because it's going to keep you alive. It's going to make sure your Desecrate is always getting you more loot. It's just worth doing. And I'll do a build guide video on my Nekros build later. You guys can kind of just see it now, but I will go more in depth later in a later video, not this one. And then Khora. This is my favorite. She is honestly, to me, the most fun to use, but I have a thing for pets with Warframes, and she gets a pet. So her passive, the Ferocious Kavat Venari, fights by Khora's side and provides her with a 15% speed boost while active. If killed, Venari will reappear after 45 seconds. So you have a constant companion. There is an ability in this slot normally that has to do with Venari. You can get rid of that and keep Venari, because Venari is the passive, not the ability. So I use Spectro Rage instead. That would be what you helmet in. That's from Gara. So you'll have to get Gara first to get this on Khora. You don't need it, but if you're going for a Pilfering Khora build, I highly suggest it, because it will make sure that you aren't just losing all of your energy all the time. This actually gets you extra energy because of an augment that I use. And yes, the augment does work even though it's a Gara ability. Since it's on Khora, it still works because you're using the ability. But first we have Whip Claw. Send enemies reeling with a deafening whip crack. Stats are boosted by the equipped melee weapons mods. So put on a stat stick, and this will actually hit everything in your Strangledome, which is what you use to pilfer enemies. The drop chance for pilfering Strangledome, which is the augment, and I'll show you that as well, is 65%. So It's better than Nekros's, but it's in a smaller range usually. Desecrate hits a pretty big area. I believe it was like 30 something meters, whereas my Strangle Dome, even with the increased range, is 13 meters with a 26-meter grab radius. So Desecrate still hits more area, but the drop chance is a little bit lower. So you weigh your options there. I find Khora fun. That is why I use Khora. So you don't have to, obviously, use which one you find more fun. One of my friends really likes Hydroid. Others like Nekros. I find Nekros very boring unless I go for a Shadows of the Dead build, which is fun, but then I'm not really using Desecrate. So Strangle Dome, weave a dome of living chain that ensnares and strangles any enemy within and any foolish enough to approach. Foes outside the trap will try to hasten their comrades' deaths by shooting them crack Whipclaw on the dome to further damage any trapped enemies. So, like I said, Whipclaw kind of goes hand in hand with Strangle Dome. Just get a stat stick. I would just look up stat sticks to use. I can't really suggest one right now. You could really use any melee weapon and just make it, how you would make a stat stick. So look up the builds, figure it out, and go from there. I don't have one right now. I actually just kind of use my Ignis Wraith and shoot fire at everything. Because why not? Ensnare, bind a hapless target in living metal. Entangling others who strike too close, Whipclaw will refresh the trap, allowing it to capture more enemies. It's CC. It's CC outside of the Strangle Dome, so if you're kind of on the move, Ensnare's pretty good. If you're not, Ensnare's still pretty good. Strangle Dome is still your main ability. Spectral Rage you should keep up as much as you keep Strangle Dome up. So it's less important, but Strangle Dome will be your most important. So real quick, I'll show you the augments I use. Spectral Siphon, this is your Spectral Rage augment. Again, you get that from Helminthing Gara, which if you're new, you don't have the Helminth yet, most likely. Get it as soon as you can, and you'll be able to switch some abilities around. It is worth getting, especially early on, because then you're not going to accidentally sell a Warframe that you could have put their ability in the Helminth. And if you do accidentally sell a Warframe and you have to put their ability in the Helminth still, well, you have to refarm all the parts and remake the Warframe to be able to do that. The plus side, if you already leveled it, you don't have to level it again. You can actually put it in at rank 0. So that's a good thing, I guess. You just have to, remake it, which kind of sucks. But Spectral Rage augment. Enemies that die within Spectral Rage have a 50% chance to drop an energy orb. Now, this will go around your Strangle Dome. So most enemies will die in your Strangle Dome. So you'll be getting energy orbs like crazy. Pilfering Strangle Dome. This is the augment you need on Khora. If you're going to run Khora, you should be running this. There are builds where you don't run this because you're just running it for damage with the Whipclaw. But this augments the Strangle Dome. So Strangle Dome augment. Enemies held in Strangle Dome have a 65% chance of dropping additional loot. Nothing crazy, it just makes it to where they drop additional loot. You will get a lot of enemies in the Strangle Dome. They will be pulled. They will be on other sides of doors because they can't get pulled through the door sometimes. It's just kind of stuff you got to deal with. And so you got to kind of go around, make sure you get the loot. But if they die within the Strangle Dome, they're dying within the Spectral Siphon. So you're getting energy as well as extra loot. So I personally think Khora is the way to go. Hydroid is still okay, and Nekros is probably widely considered the best one for resource farming. Again, it is up to you. You also don't even have to play them as resource farmers. Play them how you want. I do suggest playing them as resource farmers because, well, that's kind of what they're for. Khora is fun. but she is also a resource farmer. So decide what you're going to do with it, but these are my suggestions. Khora is actually my favorite Warframe in the game, which is, I mean, it's my opinion. If you don't like Khora, you don't like Khora, no big deal. Play a different Warframe. I'm just going over the resource farmers. Khora is my absolute favorite. Let me know what you guys use to farm resources. Let me know if you don't even use a resource farmer. Let me know if this is all new info to you, because it might be. When I found out about him, I actually, well, it was when I first started, I bought Nekros. That's just the regular one. Thinking, oh, you know what? It'll be so cool. I'll be able to help get more resources, get everything I need quicker. Yeah, I was bored. My friends tricked me. They played me. I was so bored because all I was told to do was put on Desecrate and kind of just stand there. And I was like, cool, I don't have to do a whole lot. I'll just be useful right off the bat. While that was true, I was very bored. So if you are playing with higher level friends, they will probably ask you to run someone or run a Warframe who is going to increase loot chance, because you're not going to be able to do what they can. It makes sense. But at least you could be useful to them. And don't get me wrong, it'll be boring at first. But eventually you'll get to the point where you're doing the same things as them, and you won't be the only one using a resource farmer. Sometimes you'll all end up using a resource farmer. I've actually had that happen, and it's definitely useful, especially if you guys are using resource boosters and everything. You'll get so many resources. It's totally worth it. I would say, in terms of my choices, it would go Khora, Nekros, Hydroid. Hydroid is probably my least favorite, but again, I have friends who prefer Hydroid over all of them. So play what you like. Personally, I would choose Khora. So with that being said, guys, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.